afternoon. This is Monday, November 14th. Neil for Simpler Futures. End of day free market update. Gonna have a look at where the broad market is right now and see if we can make a plan for what we want to do going forward. It's largely a recap. I don't usually do those videos on Friday afternoon. They had me do one last week on Friday, so this is largely a recap of that. Moreover, because I don't see anything has changed from what I last stated then, and that is that I don't want to be a buyer of fresh new money at these levels up here at 4,000, but yet to allow it to pull back first. We were bullish if CPI wanted to come in a little light, and it did. And the market rallied up from 37.50 all the way into around 4,000, and so now it's time to take a little break, in my opinion. So here's what. Oh, and by the way, I didn't trade today. It's just kind of a mental health kind of a break. I mean, I just basically took the day off and didn't do anything. What I did do was prepare a plan for the trade room, and it looked kind of like this. Just essentially looking at the overnight sort of balance as the over-under on the day, that 90 area. And then if it was going to be bullish today, then target up into this 15 and secondary up at 25. And then what really made sense was to actually come back and test prior session point of control down here at 68. Interestingly, both of those came in. You see it's labeled as target, right? So it rallies off of this mid print up into 15, fails, and rolls down to tag the bearish target down here, which is the prior balance from late last week. So that was pretty interesting. Would have been a good day to trade, I guess, since it worked out like that. But in looking at it now, switch screens for half a second, I'll say this. You see today's mid VWAP and that overnight balance that I was pointing to right at that 90 right there. That's today's mid. Ends up being today's mid also. Even though it was overnight mid, now it's today's mid. And so I'll give it overnight tonight the ability to bid back up, bang its head on that 90, call it 2 or something, 90, 92 right there, and fail and continue to work its way lower to find where the buyer is going to be. It's going to be lower, in my opinion, and it'll be at least back into testing the upper part of this Thursday rally, the CPI rally day. It'd be at least back there. Frankly, I really think that it comes back further, as I mentioned late last week. I think it comes back into this 39.11 area, 12, and that is still bullish. That's bullish. I can probably go one step further and even point to the fact that, since this all started, I'll squish this up a little bit. Since it all started down here at 37.5, and we've got that gap, right, from Thursday morning into the pre-market, right, into the then cash open higher. Honestly, I really look at it like this. I think it can come all the way back to this cash session open swing right there, and I'm gonna call that 39.05. That's the real line in the sand to me. That's the spot that says, hey, look, we can come back and just test this 39.11. That's not a big deal. That's still bullish, and you can still target up at those 40.80s that I gave you last week, 40.84, 40.85, 40.85, I guess, whatever. And keep an eye on this 39.05. That's the spot that, in my opinion, you don't really want to see it below, because if it gets below there, that's when things to me get interesting, because then see it comes back in this gap. Then we have gap mid and all this kind of stuff to talk about back here. But we don't, and by the way, you know in your heart as well as I do, those levels are going to trade again one day. I'm just suggesting that it's not right now. They will trade. Gaps fill. Gaps matter. Gaps fill. It will fill. That, it'll trade. But what I'm suggesting is that that's at a later time than when we have to worry about that. So for right now, I just want to give this thing a chance to rest on the heels of this monstrous bid that came in late last week. Give it a chance to back and fill a little bit. It comes in still more than it just did today. This is not enough, in my opinion. Remember, everything I say is my opinion, but it'll be back here. I'll say it this way. It'll be at least lower than this, right? At least 39.45. It'll probably be all the way back here at like 39, like 11.12, something like that. And that's still bullish. That's still not a big deal, right? That still keeps it, bid for those prints that we're talking about up there. We'll see some evidence of some real topping whenever that is, and then we'll know that we're coming back in to beat the line in the sand for the gap and the gap mid and the gap fill and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff will trade again one day, but I'm just trying to get us there kind of one step at a time, I guess, if you will. So hopefully that makes sense. You can see we reached right up and hit that 15 target and then rolled back for that 68 down here. And frankly, that made a lot of sense for today. This is just a rest, right? All it did was, look, it just reaches up, barely pokes through the high, probably gets just enough to hang some people, gets them committed to some continuation, and then to come back in enough just to test prior balance, which is probably enough to get some people short, which will be enough to bounce back up to the mid, stop you out, and then roll for the targets that I'm pointing to down below, and then that way, people get hung on the long and the short, but before it's all over. It's just the way the market works. So that's it. Good trade, nice evening. Look forward to we'll do it again at the next update. Moreover, tonight, I guess largely recap of the same thing that we already said late last Friday. Just have more evidence, I guess, now to kind of base our read on after today's price action. And I'll see you again Wednesday night. Good night.
Without simpler trading, I could not have financial independence.
This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency.
It's one of the things that won me